Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video we will explore the arts of Japan, their painting and printing, the ukiyo-e, Noh Mask, origami, Kumadori, manga and anime. Without further ado, let's start. Japanese art includes different art styles and media, including ancient pottery, sculpture, ink painting, and calligraphy on silk and paper, ukiyo-e paintings and woodblock prints, kiri-e, kirigami, origami, and more recently manga or the modern Japanese cartooning and comics. Woodblock printing is a technique for printing text, images, or patterns used widely throughout East Asia. It originated in China as a method of printing on textiles but eventually became a method for printing on paper. This method was adapted in Japan during the Edo period and became one of their oldest and most highly developed visual arts. The most common theme in Japan for printmaking describes scenes from everyday life. It narrates the scene and is often packed. The best known and most popular style of Japanese art is ukiyo-e, which is Japanese for pictures of the floating world. The Japanese ukiyo-e genre thrived from the 17th through 19th centuries. Its artists produced woodblock prints and paintings of female beauties, kabuki actors and sumo wrestlers, scenes from history and folktales, travel scenes and landscapes, and flora and fauna. Ukiyo-e are handmade prints that enabled printers to blend their favored bright colors with contours done with sumi ink on the printing block. It is related to the style of woodblock printmaking that shows scenes of harmony and carefree everyday living. Ukiyo-e art was produced in a diversity of different media, including painting, and became an art domain of the upper classes and royalty but later was also produced by the common people. Ukiyo-e art has a well-defined, bold, flat line. The earliest prints were monochromatic but this characteristic continued to dominate the prints even after the use of color. The arrangements of forms in flat spaces. The figures are arranged in a single plane of depth like vertical and horizontal relationships, as well as details such as lines, shapes and patterns such as those on clothing. Compositions were often asymmetrical and the viewpoint was often done from unusual angles, such as from above. Elements of images were often cropped, giving the composition a spontaneous feel. In colored prints, contours of most areas are sharply defined, usually by the line work. The aesthetic of flat areas of color contrasts with the modulated colors expected in Western traditions. The following are the development of ukiyo-e. Sumijiri or the ink printed pictures is monochrome printing using only black ink. Tan-e is a orange highlights using red pigment called tan. URUSHI-E is a method that thickens the ink with glue, emboldening the image. Printers often used gold, mica, and other substances to enhance the image. Urushi-E also refers to paintings using lacquer instead of paint. Murasaki or the purple pictures and other styles in which a single color was used in addition to, or instead of, black ink. Banizuri or the crimson printed pictures uses red ink details or highlights added by hand after the printing process. Green was sometimes used as well. Izurei is the indigo printed pictures. Nashiki or the brocade pictures is a method of using multiple blocks for separate portions of the image, using a number of colors to achieve complex and detailed images. A separate block was carved to apply only the part of the image designated for a single color. Artists painted with pigments made from mineral or organic substances, such as safflower, ground shells, lead, and cinnabar, and later synthetic dyes imported from the West. They painted on silk or paper hanging scrolls or the kakemono, hand scroll, or the makimono, or folding screens or the biabu. The goal of origami or the paper folding is to transform a sheet of paper into a finished sculpture through folding and sculpting techniques. Practitioners discourage cutting, gluing, or markings on the paper. The principles of origami are also used in stents, packaging, and other engineering applications. There are 5 types of origami: action origami, modular origami, wet folding, kirigami, and Noshi. Action origami includes origami that flies, requires inflation to complete, or when complete, uses the kinetic energy of a person's hands, applied at a certain region on the model, to move another flap or limb when completed. Modular origami consists of putting a number of identical pieces together to form a complete model. Wet folding is a technique for producing models with gentle curves rather than geometric straight folds and flat surfaces. In this technique, paper is dampened so it can be manipulated easily, the final model keeping its shape when it dries. Kirigami refers to designs that use scissors. Noshi is a kind of ceremonial origami attached to gifts to express the sender's good wishes. It consists of white paper folded with a strip of dried abalone as a token of good fortune. The Noshi is held together with a strip of paper or with a mizuhiki. Asian theater includes the most sophisticated face painting designs in the world, such as the Kumadori makeup tradition of Japan. The metamorphosis of a kabuki actor begins in his makeup. They call it face making or face preparation and helps transform them to become living special effects that help present the story. Kumadori may have been influenced by the Noh and other Japanese theater styles as well as the Chinese and Peking opera. However, the Noh masks free the actor from naturalistic facial expression, so that all the elements of performance are within the structured movements of the body, and Chinese opera designs, although they are painted onto the actor's face, function as physical masks that obscure the actor's features and expressions. Kumadori is the process of painting himself is also part of the actor's internal preparation to present the mythic persona required. The following are the functions of Kumadori makeup. To capture and project the expressions of the actor in enhanced form. To externalize the inner persona of the role through a design that responds to the actor's features. The different traditional characters wear general makeup patterns with subtle variations to develop specific characters following a yin-yang color symbology system. The positive, extroverted represents the yang type or the red, and the negative, introverted represents the yin type or the indigo blue. Other red patterns may be used for animals and comic roles. Indigo patterns represent the yin anger, more common to mature adults who do not express their anger, but hold it in until it darkens the heart and turns one to evil. The color brown in a pattern indicate a being with non-human powers, such as gods or demons. Noh masks are carved from blocks of Japanese cypress and painted with natural pigments on a neutral base of glue and crunched seashells. These masks tell the character's gender, age, and social ranking, and by wearing them, actors can portray old men and women, youngsters, or non-human characters like divine, demon, or animal. Using the mask in a Noh play is not an abandonment of facial expressions altogether, but to stimulate the imagination of the audience. By using masks, actors are able to show emotions through movements and body language. Some masks need the help of lighting effects, like in the slight tilting of the head. Facing slightly upward enables the mask to capture more light, which in turn reveals more features. Facing downward will cause the mask to appear sad or mad. Manga books and comics are generally printed in black and white and cover a variety of genres and subjects that appeal to both sexes and all ages. Themes include action-adventure, business or commerce, comedy, detective, historical drama, horror, mystery, romance, science fiction, and fantasy, sexuality, sports and games, and suspense, among others. Most manga aimed for children uses simple style and adorable characters with big eyes to enable the artists to convey emotions easily. Anime differs from manga in its use of color, movement, and sound, especially its theme song. In Japan, manga refers to all cartooning, comics, and animation. Outside Japan, comics produced from animation are called ani-manga. Studio Ghibli, founded in 1985, has produced numerous original feature films in animated form. Hayao Miyazaki, a critically acclaimed animator, has created films which have touched the hearts of people from all over the world. His animation style is very unique because his characters tend to have small eyes, rather than the usual trend for larger eyes, and most of his protagonists are strong independent girls or women. Much of the traditional architecture of Japan is imported from China and other Asian countries over the centuries. A distinct feature of a traditional Japanese house is the way in which it is open to nature. The main materials used are wood, earth, and paper, and the construction spreads out sideways rather than upwards. The use of stone is avoided except for certain parts like temple and pagoda foundations. The roofs constitute half the size of the whole structure, with slightly curved eaves that extend far beyond the walls, supported by complex bracket systems called Tokyo that can be seen in temples and shrines. In houses, the oversize eaves give the interior a characteristic dimness. The interior normally consists of a single room at the center called moya. Inner space divisions are fluid, and room size can be modified through the use of screens or sliding doors or the fusuma. A large, single-space main hall can be divided according to the resident's needs. Walls can also be joined temporarily to accommodate guests. Care is taken to blend the edifice into the surrounding natural environment. That's all for this video. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you.